show Ghost Seekers. I'm Charles Parley, and with me is my friend and colleague Matt Payne. Matt, I've got some questions that came in from one of our viewers, and this is a topic that I know we both are very interested in, that is summoning a spirit to communicate with us. And I hope to capture that sort of thing for our viewers in many different forms on future episodes. But what is required? How do we set it up? And what could people do at home? Not that we're recommending this sort of thing to try at home, but hypothetically, what would someone do to set up a summoning of a spirit or ghost?
Like you said, I wouldn't suggest it for someone who's just casually going to try their first thing into the unseen world. But one of the things that's needed to summon a spirit is you've got to open the gate. So what you need to do is create a circle. A lot of times the best thing to do to create a circle is use a natural element, like salt, for example. Anything.
So this is on the ground?
Yes, you would draw a circle of salt.
Outside?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I have seen it done on a table. I have seen it done in the open in the field. It all depends on how many people you have participating. Mm-hmm. The theory goes, the more people, the more power, the stronger the connection. Once you've gotten that circle connected, you would have people stand or sit around the circle. Each person would have a candle, and that candle would be lit. Once that's done, they would focus their attention to the center of the circle, and then repeat a phrase 3 times. This is the circle, this is the gate. Now open the circle, now open the gate. You'd repeat that 3 times.
This is the circle, this is the gate. Now open the circle, open the gate.
Correct. In theory, this is opening the doorway between the two worlds. Once this is done, and this is a critical point, is you must invite something to cross over into our world. And it's very important to be specific. This is the circle, this is the gate. Now open the circle, now open the gate. I invite all those on the other side who seek knowledge, who seek friendship, who seek a conversation, who seek to convey information. I invite you to come across. It's very important to say what you're looking for and what you want to come across. Otherwise, you're opening the door and anything that's waiting on the other side can come through.
What's that thing? I think I see.
Never seen it before. What could it be?
Palmolive antibacterial, the anti-germ palmolive.
Now we've discussed, we know there's different classifications of ghosts and spirits, so which classification of spirit are we likely to encounter?
Usually something that has something to say. A spirit, for example, that is the spirit of knowledge, that wants to impart knowledge of this world or the unseen world, of the universe in general, or of a spirit of prophecy to give you hints or glimpses into a possible future.
Is this possibly a shadow lord?
That's why you have to be careful. There very well could be a shadow lord waiting on the other side, just waiting for someone to open the gate and to step through and wreak havoc. That's why you have to make sure you are specific in what you're asking for, what you're looking for, and invite them to come over. Either way, if you have an experience with a spirit or a ghost, once that experience is done, or once you're ready to say, I've had enough, you must, and I can't stress this, you must instruct the spirit or the ghost to leave. Our communion is done. Return to where you came. Things of that nature. We thank you for your information. We thank you for your help. It is time to depart.
In your experience, what kind of information can be discerned by these kind of summonings?
Anything from knowledge of our ancient past to possible knowledge of future events, long-lost relatives, members of your bloodline that you didn't even know existed, to impart knowledge. With the final step of the summoning is, once you've asked them to depart, you must close the gate, which is the same thing. The people with the candles, you then say, this is the circle, this is the gate, now close the circle, now close the gate.
Is that repeated 3 times?
And that's repeated 3 times. And again, be forceful. Put your as if you're instructing something to leave and a door to be shut.
And does the circle then, should it be dissolved?
Yes.
I guess you mentioned salt. I'm more familiar with ash being used. Are there other elements as well?
It usually has to be a natural element. Salt is a good because it's a neutral element. I have heard of ash being used, but it tends to be more on the side as if you're wanting to summon one of the darker spirits. Ash is the result of fire, is the result of destruction. So to use ash is to...
Meg, look at this. Oatmeal Crisp has undergone a prodigious metamorphosis.
Yoplait really creams yogurt.
Typically, we think of these events take place at night. Does it make any difference?
No. It's not about night, it's not about day. It's about the power. If you have 5 people participating in it, and one person is a genuine, real believer, you won't have the power that if 5 people who are totally believe and totally want this to succeed to happen. It has nothing to do about time of day. You know, you hear over and over again in modern mythology of midnight, the witching hour, that's when you do these things. It really doesn't matter.
We mentioned at the top of the show that we don't recommend that you take on this kind of activity. We're required to state that quite emphatically. However, if you have any experience with this type of summoning of spirits and you'd like to share that with us, we'll put our address up on the screen, and hopefully you can send us in some notification about it, and maybe we can share your experiences on our show in the future. We'll be right back after these messages.
If I did serve for jury duty, would I be safe?
Annie, listen to me now. You're in danger, and your son is in danger.
Geo Prism. Call 1-800-GET-TO-KNOW and get to know Geo Prism.
And welcome back to Ghost Seekers. With me is my friend Matt Payne. And Matt, before the break, we're talking about a very serious subject today, and I can't stress enough to our viewers that we don't take these topics lightly at all, and we want to make it very clear that we recommend that people that want to participate in this sort of activity consult with experts and participate alongside, if need be, with people who are experienced in this. It's not something that people should just take on. What are some of the dangers? I don't want to be well, scaring people, for lack of a better word, but at the same time, I want people to be aware. What are the dangers if things are done incorrectly when it comes to summoning spirits?
Well, you and I have talked about this before, but I think one of the things we need to specifically focus on is opening and closing the gate. That this is done properly, that it is not done as amateurish and, you know, just saying these words. The gate, the circle that you create, is a link between the spirit world and our world. If you were to not be paying attention, and while summoning a spirit you move your hand and you break this circle so it is no longer a continuous circle, you've now ripped open, instead of having a small doorway, a small hole, you've now made a tear where anything can slip through. And again, with the idea of, depending on who is performing the summoning, who is involved in this ritual, the stronger the person's inner spirit. We've discussed the concept of indigo children before, where if they have a strong inner spirit that something from the spirit world can latch onto and continue to draw energy from, the stronger the power, the stronger the spirit that you summon through.
What's the worst case scenario?
Worst case scenario is you summon something that you can't control, or more realistically, something that is much more powerful than you.
Are we talking about a what some people would refer to as a demonization or possession?
That's exactly it. You know, if you have something like, I know we have discussed it, I can't remember if we've talked about it on your show, something like a Shadow Lord, something about a dark presence. If it was to come through, and it was to latch itself on, think of it almost as a leech, latch itself on to the strongest member of the circle, it would continue to draw energy from them. The more energy it draws, the more powerful it becomes, the more difficult it gets to be to put it back.
So this could affect one person in the group rather than something that the whole group is experiencing at the same time.
It would be drawn to the strongest person there. But let's say there are people that have connections to the light, there are people who have connections to the dark. If you have two people there that have that same connection, that same energy, these indigo children we've discussed, they would be a constant power source. As one person gets weaker, it would start drawing from the other, and keep going back and forth to get its power so that you can no longer send it back to where it came from. It's all about which one of you, which side in this struggle has more power.
This is TBS Tech Watch, brought to you by Embassy Suites Hotel, twice the hotel for reservations.
Unwind with complimentary evening beverages and enjoy yourself here, because eventually you'll have to go back out there. Embassy Suites, twice the hotel. Call 1-800.
Again, I want to stress with our viewers that this is a subject that we don't take lightly at all, and it's not something that we want people necessarily participating in and opening that door to the spirit world that maybe have a very negative consequences. So please, people at home, I know this is an interesting topic that we're getting into today, but I really want you to leave it to the experts or do a whole lot of study on your own aside from what we can give you in our brief show here today. Matt, tell us again about other ways. Are the summons ceremony always performed, through different cultures? Is it a similar setup?
In general, yes. It has always involved a circle. You know, a lot of times there's the circle, and then they do their own glyphs and things of that nature inside the circle, but it always starts with the circle, with people being around the circle. In certain times in the past, if people have wanted more power, they have stepped into the circle and done the summoning as if to bring the spirit into themselves. This I've never heard of ending particularly well.
Well, the circle's been a common structure for centuries. We think of Stonehenge being one. Who is doing these kind of ceremonies today?
You can get almost anyone. You know, I know the Druid movement has done a resurgence recently, and they do a lot of nature spirit summonings. And again, they do the circle outside with a natural element. Wicca is another religion that focuses heavily on communicating with spirits for the express position of information exchange. Mm-hmm. And then the average person, like I think like you and like myself, who want a better understanding of our world and the unseen world, who under controlled circumstances would try these type of things.
Before we wrap up, I don't want to leave people with all negative sort of connotations. What are the best case scenarios?
The best case scenario, in my mind, is encountering either a spirit that wants to exchange knowledge, that is just waiting for the opportunity to step through for a conversation where it is an exchange of information, where it wants to impart upon you some greater understanding of the universe that we don't currently have. Or a spirit that is, a ghost rather, that is trying to pass over to the next world. And this is its opportunity to get rid of its unfinished business and say what it needs to say and move on.
Matt, thanks for being a guest again today. Will you join us again, and maybe we can get back into the Indigo Child aspect.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
That's all we have time for today on Ghost Seekers. I hope you'll see us again next week. Bye-bye.
Don't move. Introducing the all-new 1997 Ford F-150. With even more horsepower and torque, and all the legendary strength of an F-Series.
Better get to the Grand Canyon before we do.